and they would say things like, these are dead leads. And like, no, dude, that's a homeowner that opted into your service. You suck at sales.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the High Level Spotlight Session Show, where we showcase awesome marketers doing awesome marketing. Today, I'm super excited to be joined by Mark Crandall. He is a serial agency entrepreneur and coach. Mark, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And just so you all know, listening, he just coined that intro, like literally 45 seconds before he hit record.
It has a nice ring to it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
No, but you are, and I'm really excited to talk to you because I feel like your story is part of what I call the natural evolution of an agency. But I feel like a very small percentage of the people make the jump, and we'll talk about what the jump is in a second. But first, give us some quick background. You've been a part of several agencies. Let's tell that story first, and then we'll talk about the jump that you made.
Yeah, the quick side of it, if you will, is, as I shared with you before we hit record, like I fell into marketing by inquiry. It wasn't, I didn't go to Funnel Hacker Live and they were pitching become a marketer today and you're one funnel away. And then I decided I wanted to market. It was, I'd taken a job as a clinical director of a treatment center in Austin. I attended a networking event there. It was the first time I'd heard about or found out about entrepreneurship. And that was about 6 years ago. And I was like, wow, I mean, you can do all this stuff. And, this man, Nathaniel, who's still a mentor of mine and friend, asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I said, I want to be an author and I want to speak and I want to work with people, not on therapy, but using positive psychology to get them to move past what they're stuck against. Long story short.
Well, wait, you actually have a degree in therapy, right?
Yeah. I hold 2 licenses, which are not hung on my new wall, to practice therapy. Yeah.
But has it dawned on you that that's actually like, so much of marketing is psychology. So you came into it with like a superpower, whether you were aware of it or not.
I quickly became aware of it because I launched, Nathaniel helped me launch my first LLC. And in the first 3 months of me having this new coaching, speaking, author business, even though I didn't even write a book, I made about $135,000 in my first 3 months. And wow. That's when Nathaniel was like, what in that? He went on a trip and came back and he said, all right, here's your test. Let me see your bank account. And I was like, what, I thought he was trying to steal from me. I'm like, what do you mean? And I showed him and he was like, oh my God, dude, like, what have you been doing? And I'm like, oh, I got this consulting gig over here. And I'm talking to them about the psychology of sales. And I have these clients and like, I just started bouncing all around and I started to want to be bigger. And, as you get in the online space, you start to see what others are doing and you want to chase it. And there's a lot of FOMO and a lot of envy and a lot of hating that goes on. And you want to be better. And so I started watching webinars that were being advertised and, buying into programs and just to see what people were doing. And I wanted to launch a webinar and I hired this agency who will remain nameless. I have not seen them on the platform yet or in the group. So I don't think they've joined. They're still using the dark software, if you will. And, I hired them. I paid them $125,000 to build me a webinar and build me funnels and do the automations. And so I spent all this money. We get on the webinar. They never sent out the automations. No one purchased the product. I had been studying for weeks on my deck and I was just like the offer stack and the drop and, inflecting my tone and rate, and just like, I had just been working so hard. And they ghosted me.
Wow.
After the webinar, I got ghosted. And that is when I became obsessed with marketing. And I was like, I'm just going to learn everything that I can about email, about copy, about sales, about funnels. And it progressed from there. And I became so good at creating my own funnels and doing my own marketing that individuals it was in the coaching space, other coaches and authors and podcasters were asking me to show them what I was doing. And it quickly, it quickly became apparent to me that this wasn't like a helping, like you should be paying me. And I quickly started to take money for what I was doing. And yeah, it progressed from there. I love marketing. I love using copy, funnels, automation to get somebody on a call or at an appointment to provide them with a quality service.
Nice. And my dog just started snoring really loudly. So if you can
That's
hear that,
awesome.
I apologize. But so now we get to the juicy part of the story. So I have a theory that there's a typical agency journey, right? You get into marketing, you start getting clients, you get better and better at your craft, and then you realize, well, hey, the way to scale this is to repeat success, right? So I should start, where do I create the most success? Oh, it seems to be in this type of business. And so you start naturally niching, right? And you're like, I'm gonna actively try to get more businesses of this type because I'm so good at generating leads and helping them close sales. And so you start niching down, and maybe you even rebrand. Like we doubled down on the niche and rebranded for it, and it was going great. And then you get to a point where you're like, man, there's only so much we can do on the marketing side. To take this further, we would have to like start changing the business side of our clients, right? And it's like, how do you do that? And then you end up at this one question, which is, should we open a business of our own within the niche that we service? And I feel like most people are like, man, we would kill it, wouldn't we? But we don't really know anything about running the actual business. We just know how to be better at sales than they are. And it sounds like you went down that path and you actually made the leap. So tell us about this acquisition that you made.
Yeah, I gotta give a shout out to Bobby, who is the one who turned me on to go high level. So Bobby Wall, when you're listening to this, shout out. He's still in here. He's the one who turned me on to it. And I basically I partnered with him and two other gentlemen on our second marketing venture, because it was Bobby, myself, and Nathaniel in the beginning. And I was bringing funnels in, and I was bringing high ticket deals in, because I just love high ticket. I don't want to play with $9.95 a month. Like, I just don't. I want, $20,000, $40,000 deals. And so we created this. They were already doing some solar marketing. Gary, one of the partners that came in, is just an absolute savage on video. And so we were providing lead generation for solar clients, for installs, for basically bringing homeowners to them to perform the installs. And I just was so grossed out by the market and how quick these solar companies they would just throw you away. And you were like a dime a dozen.
Really aggressive industry. Yeah.
Yeah. You were just like a dime a dozen to them. And they would say things like, these are dead leads. And like, no, dude, that's a homeowner that opted into your service. You suck at sales. It's not a dead lead. That's a human. It's a human being like me that inquired about putting solar on their roof. So they didn't respond back when you sent that one text message. Usually takes more than a text message to build a relationship.
Exactly.
And, so anyways, we're bebopping, and I came up with this idea at 3:00 on a Sunday morning, 3 a.m. Sunday morning. Came up with an idea. I texted Gary, and we were on a call at 7 a.m. We launched ads, I think Wednesday, and we had something like 50 or 60 appointments booked really, really quick. And the company
what was the offer? What was the pitch?
I don't even. Dude, it's such a blur to me. Bobby, when you post this, Bobby will post it. I don't remember. I'm trying to think of what it was, because at the time they were running, there was the retainer model, and then there was the back end rip model. that they were running. And I came up with some, I don't even remember what, I honestly am spacing on it. I don't remember what it was.
Well,
I'll ping
Bobby
you
will fill
afterwards.
us in the comments. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, I come up with good ideas, right? Like it just happens to me, usually at 3 a.m. on Sunday morning. And came up with the idea. We got flooded with clients. They were jerks. Like most of them were jerks. I wanted to fire everyone, but that's, grow an agency when you're firing everyone. And like, there was some that were being disrespectful, and there was some dishonesty that was going on around what we could actually do. And then they weren't paying on the back end rip. And it was just like, I don't want to do this.
That's the other part of it, right? Because you look at your clients and you're like, man, if that guy can do well, imagine what we could do if we actually started a business to compete with him, right? Like, I feel like it just starts to snowball. Were you guys going through those same types of thoughts?
Oh yeah, they still are. I love you guys. I know they're going to listen to this. Like, they still are. And it was right around that time that I started studying, and I was still building funnels for coaching clients. And at the time, this is pre-COVID, I was speaking. So I was getting $5,000-$10,000 to do talks. I actually had almost $60,000 booked for 3 talks when COVID hit and they got canceled.
Oh.
And so I was running. I mean, I was doing this, I was doing that. It was like a quarter of the way in 8 different things, if that makes sense. And my brain was fried all the time. And I was working nonstop. And, my son was born. And right after, my son's 22 months right now. And right after my son was born, I got an inquiry from a good friend of mine who wanted me to coach him. And he owns a roofing company. And so I was like, yeah, man, I'll coach you. And we're like 2 sessions into me coaching him. And I'm studying this acquisition stuff of how to use various means of capital, whether that's your brain power, whether that's your working power, or whether that's your actual income, right? There's many, many ways to leverage equity in a company. And so that's what I was studying. And shout out Andrew Warner of Mixergy. He's the man who put this in my idea. It's actually the only podcast I listen to. I will probably start listening to this one because I just saw that you announced it. Because you just have a really good radio voice, Chase.
Oh, thanks, man.
And so I'm 2 sessions into coaching Josh, and I hit him with this. I said, hey, man, you realize that we're not coaching, right? He's like, what do you mean? I was like, this is consulting. Like, I'm consulting you on how to implement systems to streamline your business to make you more money. And he's like, well, what does that mean? And I was like, well, I'm going to refund you what you paid me for coaching, and we're going to enter into a new agreement. And the agreement, I could pull it up. I think it was, he was paying me $2,500 a month for the consulting, plus they had no tracking. So I had a lot of leverage. He didn't know and it was a huge risk on my part. And I've learned a ton. They didn't know if they were making money on jobs or if they were losing money on jobs.
Mm. Yeah, that's a lot to sort out. Now we're getting into the business operations again, right?
Yeah, they had no clue. And I said to him, I need the, whatever it was. I think it was 25 or maybe it was 37.50. I forget, whatever it was. It was a small retainer for the work that I was about to do. I said, so I'm going to do the retainer model. And right now you have no tracking. So the next offer that I present to you on top of the retainer really doesn't exist right now. I said, I want 10% net profit of all jobs produced while I'm consulting you. And the offer was easy for him because he didn't have any profit as he saw it. In his mind, it was a loss. And as I dug into it, after I, in the first, I think it was like first 2 months, got him to collect, it was like $98,000 that was outstanding that he just hadn't invoiced.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, it was. He's very, very good at providing a service to homeowners, not good at running a company at all. And most tradesmen are not good at running a company. They're very, very skilled at their craft, and most there's a phrase, chuck in a truck is what they're called. Like, the roofer gets resentful, puts a ladder rack on his truck and launches a company. Right. And now
I've never heard that, but okay. Chuck in
yeah,
a
they're
truck. I
called
like
chuck
it.
into trucks. So that agreement it was a 15-month agreement because I had been working with him for 3 months and I wanted it to run for a year. And I said to him in the beginning, it wasn't an agreement. Now you have to understand, Josh has been a friend of mine for years. So it wasn't like Joe off the street, although this is possible with Joe off the street because I did it again. And I'm about to do it even more. I told you in the beginning before you hit record, like I'm really building the case study. When I launched this, I want it to be full and ready to go. So there is a line in the agreement that states at the end of a year, the terms of the agreement will be renegotiated for ownership percentage in the company. And so I didn't really think much of it until I started to see how much the company was doing. So I took them trackable. This isn't made up. I took them from 800,000 in revenue to 2.4 million in that. I say 1 year, but there was 3 months before. So 15-month period, they went from 800 to 2.4 million.
Wow. That's awesome.
So the initial conversation came at 11 months of the agreement. That is when I took 15% ownership in the company with 15% owner draw off of profits. So what had happened was he was giving me so much money based off of that net agreement off of every job that giving me 15% ownership actually made more sense to him overall because it was net profit on the job, not net profit on the company.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like an additional salesperson, although I wasn't doing sales. And, at the time I had rebuilt the website, the new website is up now, integrated, GHL forms in the website, which kicks them to automations. And they were just starting to see, I redid their entire Google My Business. They had 4 profiles when I got with them. I narrowed it down to 1. At the time, they had 30 something ratings, where we just got our 103rd 5-star rating on Google today. And so what started to happen was the organic side of marketing started to work for them. And COVID hit. And, it shook my world. It shook a lot of people's worlds and I don't want to get political in the convo. So I won't. That wasn't a disclaimer to get political, but some things happened that really made me question, what I was doing as an entrepreneur and what was a sure bet for what was bound to come. And that's when I made the decision that I was going to go all in on the trades because the trades are recession proof. If you need a roof on your home, you're putting a roof on your home. If you need siding on your home, you're putting siding on your home. There's no.
And even COVID, if you're stuck in your home, you're going to want to improve your home.
And so I went all in and I built a really, really slick snapshot for this company in which there are 4 different automation sequences from opt-in. 1 specific for siding, 1 specific for roofing, 1 specific for windows, and 1 specific for others, all providing education. Now I'm working on segmenting that even further. So is it an asphalt roof? And I'm having our own product pages built right now for WordPress, should be live next week, so that I can tag these, customers that come in. And as with the appointment reminders, they're now getting educated on the products that we offer and our warranties. So before we even get to the home, there's a good chance that they've already picked the color of shingle that they want or the color of metal that they want. They know more about us.
This is what I love. And I want to pause here for a minute because this is a lot of times we'll get people saying, oh my gosh, Go High Level is so amazing, but I'm really worried because what happens when everybody's using it and my competitors are using it too? How am I going to be able to stand out if we're all using the same software? And we're like, no, you need to shift your mindset. Like we're building a platform here, like an operating system, but it's what you do with it that creates the real value, right? And I don't think, especially if you're a young in your agency, journey, people don't go deep enough. And this is one of the benefits of niching, right? You need to learn the industry, learn the nuances of the products so that you can build out more robust nurtures. And what you're talking about, this is the magic, right? You're educating people. It's like going back to your friend or whoever that was who sent out one text to somebody who had inquired about solar panels for their home. Oh, they didn't respond to the text. That's a crappy lead. What are you talking about? Like you're expecting bottom of the funnel results from the top of the funnel, right? And this is how you differentiate yourself. This is how you make magic happen, right? You build these stories that you tell through automation. You use the tool to automate, yes, but it's the content, the methodology, what you're doing. Let's figure out what it is they're interested in and then tell that specific story. And what we love about High Level is once you go there, you can wrap it up in a snapshot, right? So now you're like, okay, you just said it. I have a really slick snapshot, right? And now you can roll that out if you choose to any business in the industry, right?
Yeah, totally. And, maybe it's the psychologist in me that I psychoanalyze everything, but I started to really take notes on what were customers asking at the appointments, what were their objections on the other side of the appointments. And this is what separates, we were talking about it before, I'm not going to fire a shot, but like it separates people that want to be marketers from genuine marketers, right? Like you just said, you're really building that relationship. It's not, people in their automation campaigns, in my experience of funnel hacking and trolling other people, they're not marketing. They expect it to be like, hey, this is Chase from Go High Level. You just signed up for our 14-day trial. Go watch this video about this $5,000 product that we want to sell you. It's like, what? I just signed up for a free trial. I don't even know you yet. I haven't even logged in. You haven't even, it just,
it's a great point, man.
Yeah. And so I'm really, really working on the customer journey in the way that Go High Level is structured. It's so robust. I was on a call with a client this week and she was like, I have all these ideas and and I just moved her over to Go High Level off of 5 other platforms that she was on running her business. And I said to her, I was like, take some time and notebook out what you want to do. There's really nothing that can't be done inside of Go High Level. And it's true. I'm not. She's like, well, that sounds like a storybook. I'm like, I'm telling you, it's not. We may have to tie, a Zap into it, but you guys are getting even better at that. You're integrating more and more stuff into the triggers.
Yeah. It's not the technical stuff. And that's what hangs people up. What you should be thinking about is the story, right? How do you unearth the stories within the industry so that you can do the journey up front like you're doing, but also do long-term nurture, which I love. And I'm always surprised at how little people do it, right? Especially when you niche down and you mentioned products, right? Okay, Windows. How many companies make Windows, right? Every person who does window install sells the same types of companies, right? So you can build long-term nurtures based on the manufacturers within the industry. They have content, professional content. They've got great photos. They've got, everything that you can grab, build it into your long-term nurtures, and it works for pretty much anyone in the industry, right? And so I'm just fascinated, and I absolutely love that process of marketing, of figuring out the journey and the stories and putting it all together. And it's hard, right? Being creative is hard. But that's the magic, right? It's not the tool. And so I love, you've got an edge being in your background in psychology, but I really feel like this is what people need help with the most, right? And so I'm sure some people are going to reach out to you after this to try to get help on how you do that, right? How you build these types of stories. But that's what's most effective. And so now you're deploying it for yourself, right? So you got into this one business and you said you did it again. Right? Talk about that.
Yeah. So, well, let me finish with this one business. So I I made the decision in the midst of COVID to move up to New Hampshire. And so I'm back in New Hampshire now. We moved from right outside of Philly. And the agreement that I had with Josh was I would double my ownership in the company, still perform the behind the computer remote role. And I also would need a salary now. And so I'm getting a salary in the company plus 30% ownership plus 30% owner profit draw. And, just I think what you're talking about, most people don't make the jump. Instead of thinking about how many clients I can get in my agency or in front of me on a Zoom call, I think about how far I can take each client. Because one customer, like especially one good customer, you like them, they're respectable, they do the follow-up work. My experience is those customers can make me 3 or 4 times more money than bringing on 15 more pain in the butt clients.
100%.
And so I just went, deep with Energy Shield and renamed it. It's now Energy Shield of New Hampshire instead of Energy Shield of the Lakes region. And I mean, I have 4 calls since we've been on this that have come from the website. So, how do I know that? I'm tracking through Go High Level. So I know where they're coming from. But yeah, I did it. I did the same play. I'm not going to name who or what, because some of them I have terminated agreements with and got you. This is slick. I terminated agreements with, I got them on their own Go High Level account through my affiliate link. And now they're running their own stuff and Go High Level. But essentially I used the same model, and the model that I'm going to, double down on, and launched a podcast, which I paused for a minute, called Heart Centered Tradesman. And I created a process called the NAIL method. And the NAIL method is the process of, it's literally the case study of what I did with Josh to get him from, being a crap show or a poop show. I don't know if you swear on your podcast, but I'm just going to clean it up, keep it PG just in case.
I think crap is PG. You're good.
Yeah. And so from taking him from that place to doing what he loves to do, while all of the other stuff is being managed and dialed in. I mean, I have very complicated but easy tracking sheets. They have a schedule now. I can tell you, weather depending, how many days out a shingle job is, how many days out a window job is, how many days out a metal roof job is. They had none of that before. So I think the one thing, and when I was pitching, you had to, even though you asked me on the spotlight, I still had to pitch you in my calendar, which I thought was clever. My pitch is, those that are really skilled marketers are oftentimes thinking too small. There's zero reason why you couldn't leverage some of the relationships that you have for acquisitions inside of some of these companies. And that's when I came up with this tradesman, basically plug-in CMO model, in which I use Go High Level to fulfill the marketing side of the business, because they don't want to do it. And most of them are paying 20, give you this real-time statistic. When I jumped in with Josh, $18,000 a month was being spent on the marketing budget. So,
and probably being squandered through poorly run ads or something.
Dude, I mean, these people were going all over the place. The customers were going all over the place, and some of them would rise to the top, and you'd be like, he was running Facebook ads, and he was running Google ads, and he was running ads on Yelp, and he had Angie's List and Home Advisor. And I was like, let's rip the brakes, shut all this down. I'm going to get the organic side dialed in, make sure your website's optimized, that we're starting SEO on the website, that your Google My Business is up to date, that we're actually putting I have gotten so many leads just from putting videos on with a post on Google My Business. Like, it's organic. Same with Facebook. So all of that is dialed in, and it all sends them back to the Go High Level forums. So they're all coming into one place.
It's it's a great conversation, and I don't think there's a right or a wrong, but like, I think the truth of the matter is, as a marketer, you need to make a decision. And you might not be far enough along to know that this decision is coming your way. But at some point, you have to decide, because I had Mike Cooch on the show the other day, and he made a great point. A lot of marketers love what they do, so they go further than what they're being paid to do. Right. And then you get caught in this trap and you're like, man, this sucks. I'm like not making enough money and I'm doing so much work for these people. And, and it's because you love what you do. So you're going too far because you love to do it. But you either need to productize your service and do less for what you're being paid. Right. If I'm only going to get $1,000 a month, I can't go beyond that. Right. I might want to, and you might need it, but you can't afford it. And you need to understand that. Or you decide that's not going to be enjoyable for me. I don't want to become a McDonald's factory of marketing. I want to go deep and really produce results, but you need to make sure you're in an industry that can pay for it, or you need to find a model that's going to be able to afford it. And what you're doing is really interesting because you're saying, okay, forget this retainer that I need to charge you $5,000 a month. Let's talk about another way we can make this work. You're actually going to make me a partial owner and I'm going to, operate. It's a whole different model, but now you have the freedom to go as deep as you want. You clearly love this, right? So you're digging in, you're doing Google My Business posting for them. You're cleaning up, you're putting an SEO process into place. There's so much
I have put people in play, you know what I mean? And we're putting more people in place, but I wanted to learn the process, and there are so many, I know a lot of people in this community. I mean, it's grown massively. There are some amazing, super intelligent humans in this community that are getting way less than they should be, like very skilled marketers. I mean, I've been on a call
100%.
Ton of people in this community and I'm so grateful for it. I mean, Bud, who's in this community, is like turned into one of my closest friends. But it's just, I wanted to learn the process. I wanted to go deep. And one of the first things that I did when I jumped in was they had a call center booking all of their appointments. Well, their stats were below 30% from call to booked appointment. So I started to really evaluate, well, what is this? Guess what? I'm taking all the calls now. They're going direct to my cell phone and I'm over 80% from call to booked appointment. We're going to plug somebody in place eventually, but I'm finding out what the chink in it is. When you can take somebody's company from your marketing brain and say, what if we implemented this, and this, and this? And they're going to go, I can't afford that, but there is a way that you could afford it. What if we did this? And if I hit this KPI, then we'll do this. And you set KPIs that you know that you can hit, key performance indicators. For those of you who don't know, I didn't know what that was at one time. You set those KPIs. And when you destroy those KPIs, right, then it's like, okay, remember that thing we talked about? Yeah, take it.
Because you're saying, okay, if I were to hit this number, you'd be making X more money, right? So it makes sense that you'll be able to afford to pay me 30% of the new money that I produced, right? Right. Now, this is all stuff, again, it's like, it can be intimidating if you don't have a ton of experience and it can be tough to figure out. And so are you going to do more coaching for people who are like, I do love marketing. I do want to go deeper with my clients. I haven't been able to figure out a way to monetize it properly. So I am getting underpaid. This sounds interesting. Do you want more of those types of people reaching out to you, or are you going to stay focused on just doing it for yourself?
No, I would totally do it. I mean, anyone that's interested, I mean, you can find me in the Go High Level community. I've been active in there. I have, so many people in the early stages. I can't speak to it now. I know it's kind of, sometimes it can get wild westy in there as the community grows, but it used to be a super, and I hope it stays this way. It used to be a super heart-centered community that almost anyone would jump on a call with you. Like, I don't want to get emotional, but like, you've been on calls with me. Robin's been on calls with me. Sean's been on multiple calls with me. Robin was on a call with me 2 weeks ago at 8:00 at night. You know what I mean? So like, I would do anything to help anyone. And if it progressed, then yeah, I mean, anyone can ping me inside of the don't do this. Don't hit me up and say, hey, would you give me your snapshot? Like, no, I won't. And I, you know what I mean? Because you don't understand the time and effort that it took to build it. But anyone can email me at mark@heartcenteredtradesman.com. Anything that I can do to help this community, totally. But I am, looking at new opportunities of acquisitions, right? So I really want
I was going to say, what's next? Where are you going to go from here?
I'm going to do a lot of fishing this summer. I'm going to say that
Nice.
because, as I know, I've talked to you about this, I've talked to Sean about it, I've talked to Robin about it. It's very easy to get caught in the making a lot of money and burn the candle at both ends. And I'm going to do a lot of fishing. I'm going to hang out with my family. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking at real estate. I'm looking at acquiring an HVAC company. I'm looking at expanding the roofing company that I just took ownership in. And, they went from doing one job at a time to we have 3 jobs going on today, right? Just from
Nice.
like super simple systems and organization that Go High Level has afforded the opportunity to do. I created a company. It was called Start to Finish Marketing. And I was going to launch the SaaS model, and I had, the pitch was amazing. And it was, what was it? It was one platform, one password, one payment, one solution. Right. And it was like, it was the SaaS for Go High Level. Like, it's a start to finish. Mm-hmm. Like, you can do anything in there. But with that, I started to rabbit hole all over the place and do this and do some of this and do some of this. So yeah, I love helping tradesmen. And, I have all the marketing all set for what I'm going to do with them, but I really wanted to build the case study. So what I think I'm going to do this summer is take some coaching consulting clients on. I don't just go for ownership in a company. I will take them on as a consulting client. And as I build rapport with them, I'm looking at opportunities to increase the value of that relationship. And at some point, my little therapist hat will come on and I'll go, what if we did this, this, and this, and it looked like you not actually paying me money, but me making money off of what we make in excess of what you're already making. And they're like, well, that money's not even reality. So yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly not without risk, right? There's a ton of risk in going that deep with one particular company or business. God. It's a marriage of some sort. And so it's definitely not for everybody. And it's again,
like $3,500 in legal fees to separate from 8 other partnerships in 2020.
I mean, there's a reason
made me.
I said, hey, this is a natural part of the journey, but there's a reason why most people don't make the jump, right? It's like getting married. And yes. So that's why I think most of us back off the precipice, which is what we did in my past experience. But I love to see people who do make the jump, because it's like, I feel like we can vicariously celebrate through you and imagine, oh yeah, if we actually did open up a med spa of our own, or we opened up a whatever it is that you focus on, what would that look like? So it's pretty cool to hear the story, man. And I wish you all the success in the world. It sounds like you're killing it out there, and we're happy to have you as a member of the community.
Yeah, well, I have so much gratitude for the team and the support and who you all are, right? I was a part of another community, another marketing software. I attended some live events, and the last live event that I attended, I was disgusted. And I just like, I like marketing from the human-centered point of view. These are humans. Everyone has a pulse, right? Like, we're all breathing, we're all human. And the human aspect of Go High Level has maintained, at least in the 2+ years that I've been on the platform. So
I love that, honestly, because if we think back again to the story of, somebody opts into a solar form and they get one text message and they're deemed a terrible lead, that's not really marketing. That's kind of just spam, right? So I think, again, if you're listening to this, it's about storytelling. It's about creating journeys. It's about helping humans find things that, if solar panels are great, that's a great lead. Help them through a journey, make decisions, like you said, picking colors beforehand. educate them along the process before you try to take their money. And it usually works out pretty good. So Mark, I really appreciate you coming on. Thanks everybody for watching. Again, you can hit Mark up in the community. Don't ask him for a snapshot, but it sounds like he is willing to hop on a call with you if you're interested in learning more about this alternative route, which is really going deep with maybe a particular client or starting a business within the industry. It's a really interesting idea, not without its risks. But Mark, it sounds like you're about to do it a few more times, and we wish you all the success in the world.
Thanks so much, man.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you in the next one.